What I want to talk about on today's call is the state of marketing, the power of focus, Facebook advertising, the best 3 sales questions, video marketing, the importance of faces.
This call is being recorded.
What I want to talk about on the call today, guys, is the best apps for salespeople who make 6 figures. So there's a lot of apps out there for salespeople, and there's kind of a limitless supply of shiny objects. But what happens in sales, and you guys have all really started to hit your stride. I mean, Darren and Neil, you guys have been making over 6 figures for a while. We're getting Amber to that level. We're getting Sarah past that level. We want Jeremy at that level. And what happens is once you're a 6-figure employee, once you actually start making a ton of money in sales, the only 2 things that matter are focus and mindset. Basically, once your axe is sharp enough, what you need to then do, meaning your sales axe, is you need to then apply a scalpel to your schedule. So for today's call, I'm going to cover some apps that can give you the focus. I'm going to share 3 apps with you guys that will give you better focus, better time management. Because again, once your axe is sharp, you just want to go cut down trees. And you guys have all sharpened your axes for so long now that they're razor sharp. And so now what you have to do is shift your mindset to time management, productivity, and focus. So the first one, and I want you guys all to download all 3 of these and try them today. The first one is called Rescue Time. Rescue Time is an app that you can install on your computer, and it will start to give you perspective on where the inefficiencies are in your day. It basically will break down all of the time you're spending on different websites. So it would show that, Jeremy spends 3 hours a day in Follow Up Boss. He spends another hour and a half in Slack, and he spends 2.5 hours on Facebook, as an example. And what they actually let you do, which is really cool, is you can set goals. So you could basically say, hey, I know that when I'm at my desk all day, I get a little bit distracted by ESPN. Or right now, there's like the big Apple event, right? And what you can actually do is you can say, hey, I know that I want to check ESPN throughout the day, but I know that I shouldn't spend more than, call it 30 minutes doing that. And so you can actually set up your computer where whether it's your email or your favorite news site or your favorite social network, you can actually set it up where it will stop allowing access to that once you hit your time frame. So if I set up Rescue Time and I say, hey, when I get to 30 minutes on ESPN, don't let me visit ESPN anymore. It's actually a really, really cool tool. The other thing you can do is you can set alarms. So you can basically say, hey, when I hit that 30 minutes, when I hit that 2 hours, make sure you notify me. But the cool part is if you install Rescue Time, and then what I want you guys to do for the first week is just work how you normally would. At the end of that week, you're going to have a detailed graphical analysis of exactly where your time is going. The way I was explaining this to Neil is like, imagine if I look at mine, because I'm going to do it too. Imagine if I realized that like 30 or 40% of my time is spent in email. Well, if that's the case, and I were to hire an assistant to manage my email, that's a big chunk of my time I'm getting back to spend on potentially more important things. So the first app is called Rescue Time. It's really, really cool. You guys are going to love it. The next one is called 135 List. 135 List. And the concept behind this, it's sort of a to-do app that gives you a little bit more focus. On any given day, you should assume that you can only accomplish 1 big thing, 3 medium things, and 5 small things. So the idea is that you actually narrow your to-do list down to just those 9 things. You can actually go to 135list.com and it will show you the mobile app. There's also a great Chrome extension. And I remember Darren and I were talking about this the other day. We interviewed a guy named Tim Smith. Tim Smith is about to sell $1 billion in real estate this year. Like, he does $1 billion in sales as a team by themselves, not the brokerage, not lifetime sales, $1 billion a year in sales. And so as the guy running that organization, you could imagine that it gets a little tricky to manage your time. And what Tim said he does, he uses kind of a 3-3-3 instead of a 1-3-5. But he basically said, no matter how big we get, no matter how busy I am, I make sure that every day I call 3 hot leads, I call 3 cold leads, and I call 3 people that are past clients or sphere. And he doesn't just call 3, he talks to 3. So as soon as he has 3 conversations with hot leads, 3 conversations with old leads, and 3 conversations with his sphere, he's sort of done with that task. And I think it's a brilliant way to wake up and start every day. It's simple, it's systematic, but ultimately, you're not going to accomplish more than 1 huge thing in a day, 3 medium things, and 5 small things. So the 1-3-5 list app can be really helpful for that. And as you get busier and you have more of a pipeline and more past clients and more referrals and more leads, that sort of reducing what you really need to do to the ridiculous can be super helpful. I've always used an app called AnyDo, and it's not quite as specific as 1-3-5 list, but it's the same concept. I have a separate place where I keep my income producing activities so they don't get lost in my calendar or in my inbox. The last app, and I thought this was so cool, it's called Focus at Will. And the way it works is that scientists have actually discovered that depending on your personality type, there is actually a specific type of music that when it's engineered, it actually puts your brain into a flow state and makes you hyper-focused. They actually predict that it can make you 4 times more productive by using this technology. And it's sort of like a quiz. You go to focusatwill.com, you take a quiz about your personality, and then it will actually suggest the right ambient music for your brain to get you in the zone. And I'll tell you guys a quick side note. Like, I've written 2 books now, and writing books is a very lonely process. Like, the hardest part about writing a book is that you have to write a book. I mean, it's a lot of work. And so I can tell you guys that as I went into that process, like, I wasn't putting on Pandora and listening to my Drake station. I wasn't putting on talk radio in the background. I actually found it insanely helpful to put on some type of more ambient music, something with a little bit more beats and a little bit less words. And it really does have this way of getting you into a hyper-focused state. It's almost like Ritalin without the Ritalin, right? You're insanely focused through neuroscience in your brain. And I remember, at Quicken Loans, one of their favorite sayings was, what you focus on is what you find. And I do think that as we sit at our desk all day and we've got all these distractions, when you really want to get into the zone and you really want to do the equivalent of writing a chapter in a book, this ambient music, believe it or not, can be a game changer. So check out Rescue Time. That'll track everything you're doing on your computer and you can set rules. Check out 1-3-5 list, which will reduce your to-do list to the ridiculous. And then check out Focus at Will, which will create an energy and an ambiance when you're at your desk so that you can stay focused. Remember, you guys are 6-figure salespeople. 6-figure salespeople need to worry about focus and time and effort and mindset, not tactics and scripts and dialogues. You guys have that down. So hopefully these apps can help you start being as good with your time and as good with your focus as you've gotten with your sales pitch. Thanks, guys. Hey, this is Chris. Thanks for listening to my call. If you enjoyed the call, please subscribe right now. Also, share the episode and use the hashtag CallsWithChris. Every week, I choose a few people randomly to win a free signed copy of the conversion code, my USA Today best-selling book. You can also visit Curaytor.com. That's Curaytor.com to learn more about my company, which is the one I'm running during these calls. We help small businesses grow faster, and we've been featured recently by Inc., Forbes, Fortune, and Entrepreneur Magazine.